What is going on, everyone? Guys, I'm going to show you how you can get your first creative finance deal in just 7 days. And I'm not just going to give you some generic advice. I'm literally going to show you how you can get your first subject to deal and seller finance deal and assign to a buyer in 7 days. And I'm going to give you an exact 7-day, day-by-day game plan. So on day number 1, guys, I'm going to show you how we're going to pull the leads, how we're going to get our subject to or seller finance leads. On day number 2, 3, and 4, we're going to be marketing to those leads. And I'll even do some calls right now live. On day number 5, we're going to underwrite the deals. I'll show you how to underwrite these deals. On day number 6, we're going to send the contract. So Max, how do you write a subject to or seller finance contract? I'll show you. And then day number 7, we're going to assign this deal to a buyer. I don't talk too much about creative finance. I absolutely love it. I literally own 2 houses with 0% interest seller financing. This contract right here, that's a 0%, interest seller financing property that I own. But I prefer to wholesale cash, and I want you guys to be wholesaling cash deals. However, when you come across a deal that doesn't work for, cash, creative financing is really, really good. Or some of you might just want to just go after creative finance deals. That's fine. You can make money doing it. I still think wholesaling cash is better, but I will show you how to do it right now. So with all that being said, we need to go and pull some leads. Now, yes, you could just go to Zillow. You could, and you could just start calling properties on Zillow. But there's actually a much better way, because how do you know if this is a good creative finance deal? Is this a good subject to or seller finance deal? I mean, I don't know. Do you? No one knows. You just have to call and guess. It's like playing the Zillow lottery. And that's great and all, but there's actually a better way, a way that we can save a bunch of time. And we can do the same strategy going off market. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. And then we'll talk into actually reaching out to them, the script. Then we'll talk about underwriting contracts and getting it sold. This is a rare, yes, this is a rare Max Creative Finance video. So everyone get excited. And if you guys don't know what creative finance is, essentially we're just going to be getting these properties under contract and then assigning these contracts to investors. But the difference is we're going to be doing subject to or seller finance. So let me first define the parameters. So for a sub to deal or a seller finance deal, how do we know which direction to go? It simply comes down to, does a property have a mortgage? If the property has a mortgage, then it is a sub to. If it does not have a mortgage, then we pitch seller financing or owner financing. All right. That's literally the entire flow. From there, you guys can branch into things called, these get confusing. You can start doing things called hybrids. You can start to do things called Morby methods. Then you guys can once the exit strategies, you guys can do wraps and lease options. There's so many things you can do, but we're going to keep it simple right now. Subject to seller finance. How do we find these deals? And we're going to be having my kitty help us, right, kitty? You go right there. Okay, cool. Let's break into it right now. So first thing is first, I'm going to be using assigns.com, but y'all can use whatever software you want. And how can we first find low equity, low interest rate properties? So if you guys are doing a subject to deal, there's 2 things you want. You guys want low equity and a low rate. All right, cool. So we can just go here, choose a market, does not matter. We can choose whatever market y'all want. Dallas, Texas, let's say. And here in filters, instead of, let's say, going to Zillow and guessing what property to go after, we can just, actually, I'm just going to use a quick search here. It'll be a lot easier. We're going to go to quick searches, subject to. So here, we're just going to set our filters. Let's say single family homes, low equity and low rates. That's it. And then now y'all can go in here and let's say you want to go after properties that are on market, just go on market. So now we have 25 results. These properties, again, are in Dallas, Texas, and they'll have low equity and low rates. Choose a property, and then you guys can go pitch seller financing or subject to, So this property, for example, they only have 19. Here, let's check this one out. Let's pull this up right now. Check out this house. So this house is listed for $392,000. All right. Not bad. All right. But here's the thing. If you look closely, what do they owe on this property? They owe 337,000. So there's actually not that much equity. So probably y'all could go in here and maybe you can offer 350,000. All right. You give the seller 15K roughly. All right. And then the rest, you just take over their loan. Done. And the interest rate on this thing? What's the interest rate on this thing? 3.89%. Done. See, that is a much easier way to find a subject to deal than to just randomly just be going on Zillow and trying to guess, what the right property is. Does that make sense, y'all? You just use a software to help you filter it out. Easy. Done. All right. Now, we could be doing the same thing for seller financing, but you can make the subject to deals even better. So what I would recommend is let's choose a bigger market, not just Dallas, Texas. Let's choose a county here. Let's go to Dallas County. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stack this. So instead of just low equity, now you can say low equity vacant properties. Ooh. So check this out. We got one result here. This property, this one's money. So this one, y'all, this house is listed for $445. It has, what's the loan on it? The mortgage amount's estimate's about $371. So go in there, offer them, I don't know, $375. If they can't sell, offer them $380, offer them $390. The property's vacant. They're paying money on a property they're not even living in. So again, I don't go here and pitch subject to on all these houses. That's not really my thing. But come on, this is the easiest way to be finding these deals if you want to go on market. Now, again, we can do the same process real quickly for, let's say, something on market. Off market, Cleveland, Ohio, let's say. And then what y'all can do is you guys can go pull a list of all the properties, and then you guys could, let's say, call them, text them, so on and so forth. Y'all get the point. So for seller finance, the only difference you guys would want to do is you guys would want to find free and clear properties. Let's get rid of that. So here you go. Right, Kitty? Good, Kitty. So here, now you have a bunch of free and clear properties. You can have them on market or off market. Maybe you want to stack free and clear with, let's say, vacant. Boom, just like that. You guys can now go pitch seller financing to all these houses. If I was doing seller financing pitches personally, I would download that list and I would call that list or text a list. It's a much better strategy. So I would do a massive call or a massive texting campaign. For subject twos, y'all can just start to hit some on-market ones. Any questions, guys, on how we find these deals before we get into actually, marketing to them and doing some pitches? What questions? Hi, Max. Hope you're doing well. Thanks, bro. Yeah, if you send me some creative finance deals, again, I don't really like dispoing them because most of them are trash, and that's what we'll talk around today. But occasionally I do sell a subject to or a seller finance deal. Sometimes I would buy them myself. So feel free to send them over to maxiswo.com and I can check them out. But again, most of the these deals you guys pitch are just bad. No offense. Because at the end of the day, this property, if you were to pitch it, this is not a good deal for an investor. The only person who wants this property is a retail buyer, and I don't sell deals to retail buyers. And I don't think you guys should either. So we want to target properties that would actually make for good investment properties. So if I was personally doing subject to or seller finance, I would be hitting markets like Cleveland, markets like Rochester, New York, markets in Illinois, markets where the average house, so this is the best for subject to and seller finance. You want to go after properties that probably are worth less than 200K fixed up. So if you guys are doing creative finance and you want to sell these deals to investors, 200K ARV should be your guys' pretty much max. And I would avoid the South. I would avoid the West Coast. I would just go straight up to the East Coast or the Midwest. And then you guys can be pitching subject to and seller finance to these properties. And then, yes, I could sell that to an investor. Why? You guys are like, Max, why? All right. It's because these things actually cash flow. The only properties that cash flow for creative finance are properties that are less than 200,000 fixed up. These cash flow and investors love them. Okay. Perfect. All right, so let's go now. Choose a property. Let's go find a few properties, and let's go pitch some offers on these. So we'll go to Rochester, New York. Let's do a little subject to deal in Rochester, New York here. And let's make sure it's on market so we can maybe call some realtors. We only got 3 results. There's not much out there. Let's see if someone answers. But it's just such an easier way to narrow down the properties you're going after. See, this one's probably too big of a house, too nice of a house. This wouldn't be a good deal for an investor. So I wouldn't even touch that one for an investment property. Again, that's a retail property. This one's is in pre-foreclosure, I think. So that's not bad. This one, it's possibly a little too nice for a rental property as well, but we could possibly try. We could possibly try. I still think this is more of a retail property. They owe 223 on it. They're asking 279. Meh, not my favorite. Not my favorite. This one might be better. You really got to narrow these down. You don't want to waste time. This one's a banger. See, this is a perfect property pitch subject to on or seller financing. It's just a cheap, perfect little rental property. And let's see the numbers on this thing. They owe $63,000. They have an interest rate of, I don't know exactly. It should be low. I set my filters at 5% max, so I don't know where it is right now, but anyways, y'all get the point. Should be pretty low. All right, cool. This might be one that might be worth pitching on. Cool. So let's go and call the realtor, and we'll pitch on this. So we're going to get into contract on day number 5. So essentially, guys, your day number 1 is you guys want to go and get as many good leads as possible. So day number 1, try to get 10, 15, 20 good leads, okay? So this took me a few minutes. I already got 1 good lead. I think this is finally 1 good one. You guys would just go back through this whole process. We can do a little bit more later if you want. Go get more good leads. So try to get 10, 20, 30 good leads. And then day number 2, 3, and 4, you're going to go and market to these leads. So now let's go and market to some of these leads. So all we're going to do is call the realtor. And I'll show you what the rough pitch is. So what we're going to do, guys, how you pitch a subject to deal, how you pitch a seller finance deal is you always pitch cash first. So what you're going to do is you say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Realtor, my name is Max. I was talking to my lender, really looking forward to buying this property. Just want to talk to you a little bit about the rents here. Like, oh, you think of rents for that? Well, unfortunately, I don't think the property is going to cash flow enough for this to be worthwhile for me as a rental. I don't even think my lender is going to approve it. I did notice here that your seller has a low interest rate loan on the property. I've done this a lot in your area because I can't buy cash and no investor could too. Would you be open to me just taking over the seller's loan? I'll give you a few, couple, $2,000-$3,000 for just being part of the deal. And I'll give the seller a few $1,000s on top. Done. A lot of times they'll tell you no. And if they tell you no, you follow up. Follow up. This property, guys, only been on market for 1 day. I'm going to offer that and they're going to tell me to kick rocks. It's been on the market for 1 day. They haven't even tested the market yet, okay? That's like, a girl just broke up with her boyfriend and you go up and try to hit on her day 1. He's going to tell you to kick rocks, but she's still out trying to find a boyfriend after, I don't know, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, no one wants her. She may say yes to you. So it's fine to offer on day 1 properties, but just know it's going to be a follow-up. That's a follow-up for sure. So let's try to find a couple more leads before we start calling here. You guys got some markets for me to look at? You guys got some markets, right, kitty? Look at the little kitty. What other markets you guys want me to look at here? I'll go pull a couple more deals. Hi, kitten. Hi. Yeah. All right, give me a couple more markets, guys. Cheap markets. We're looking for those cheap markets. Cleveland, Ohio is fine. Just know Cleveland, Ohio, it's hard to pitch on. You're going to have to put disclosures in there if you're trying to wholesale in Cleveland, Ohio, but it is a great market if you're just doing on market. Macon, Georgia could possibly work. So Detroit's a super easy one. So let's start with Detroit. So we're just going to repeat this. Detroit, Michigan. We put all of our filters in here. Beautiful. A lot of these should work. So we'll put a few of these up. We'll call on these properties. Again, trust me, guys, I've done this so much. Stick with the properties that are under 200,000 ARV for sure. Do not waste your time otherwise. I don't even try to pitch this stuff in Texas. There's just no point. Okay. Ooh, so yeah, this one could be good. This one we just found. Not bad. What's the they owe, what do they owe? I'm getting tired looking at numbers. They owe 75,000 on this house. It's what? Cherry lawn? Do they have no equity? What? Dude, it says they owe 75. Sheet. Anyways, that would be a good one to call. All right, cool. So let's just start calling properties now. All right. For me, it's harder to actually connect with the seller than to find something that makes sense because phone number from Czech Republic is something that most of real estate. Oh, well, no. Yeah, no wonder they wouldn't pick that up. You got to get a U.S. phone number. I wouldn't pick up a phone number from Czech Republic. So yeah, get a U.S. phone number, my man. There's a lot of different things you can do to get a U.S. phone number. All right, cool. I'm gonna start calling some realtors. Expect most of them to say no, y'all. Like that's part of the game. So we're on day number 2, day number 3, and day number 4. We are just calling realtors. We are making offers. That is what we are doing. So let me call this realtor. And then I'm going to do this. I'm only going to do a few calls, guys, because I do want to get into underwriting because I think the biggest problem is most of you guys cannot underwrite a subject to or seller finance deal for the life of you. And then I'll talk to you guys about the contracts. Oh, my God.
Department, press 1. If you are calling about a listing, press 2. To speak with the brokerage admin, press 3. For all
Birmingham's a really good market for that. Birmingham's a really good market. Good market.
Monday through Friday. If you are calling for more information about a
yeah, High Level is probably the best software for you guys to use. I would be using Go High Level for your CRM. That's what I use. Okay. Realtor's not answering, so let's try another one. I may not be able to get anyone on the phone, guys, if I just for a short period of calling, but we can go through some scripts real quickly, just y'all. But let's see. I'm gonna do my best. Let's make a few calls here because I want to get into underwriting. You guys are gonna have more success on market pitching subject twos. Seller financing works really, really well if you're doing off-market wholesaling. You find, like, let's say a code violation or tax delinquent home, and then you pitch.
This is Don Millock with Keller Williams. Please leave me a message after the tone. I'll call you right back.
Then you pitch seller financing. That's how I got my 2 deals. They were off-market properties, and I'm really good at pitching seller financing. I love pitching seller financing. I actually don't like pitching subject to as much. All right, I've been calling a few properties. I'm going to call a few more and see if I can get a realtor on the phone. If I can't, we'll just go through the scripts real quick. But day 2, day 3, day 4, y'all are just sitting here all day long in your office making calls and following up and following up and following up. I'm telling you guys, if I sat here for 3 days and I did this, I wouldn't get 1 deal under contract. I'd probably get 5. It's not that impossible. And again, if you guys have a massive dialer or you have a text blasting campaign, I'd load all of that stuff into a text blasting campaign and just start texting them like crazy. Yeah, San Antonio is a good market. I like San Antonio. San Antonio is a great market. Pitch cash. If you're new to wholesaling, guys, don't pitch creative finance. I'm just showing you it's a great backup strategy. Let's call this property. I'm still a huge believer in you guys should be pitching cash first, and then if cash doesn't work, then you can pivot to a creative solution. Okay, let's see. Max, I have a lot in Houston, hopefully getting locked up. Yeah, I like land in Houston. Good market. Good market for land. So it's like second best market outside of DFW. Dude, Alabama is low-key fire for seller finance. People sleep on Alabama.
Hi, This is Caroline.
Oh my God. I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying. Let's go through the scripts here real quick. So, Max, I have this deal that could be a good subject to deal, or here, let's find a really quick seller finance deal. And let's say Alabama. I don't know. What's a good mark in Alabama? I'm going to say Birmingham. Birmingham's fire. So we're going to go over to Birmingham, Alabama. And we're just going to go and look for, I really like to look, guys, when I'm doing it. You can do on market if you want, but I like to look for like free and clear tax delinquent is what one of my favorite for seller finance deals. I guess there's not too many of them, but, or at least high equity. Vacant's good too. Free and clear vacant, any of those. Point is, oh, free and clear potentially inherited, fire. Point is, let's just grab one of these that is pretty cheap and let's walk through the scripts. So we got these two houses, this one and this one. So what would we say if someone felt like answering today? Oh, that one just recently sold. Oh, that would have been a perfect seller finance deal. So for subject to scripts, guys, again, you're always getting there, just doing your normal conversations. On market, off market scripts are always a little bit different, but you're having your normal conversation, you know, blah, blah, blah. You're chatting them up. And then the point is you start to get to the point of, hey, I really, really, really want to make you a cash offer on this property. How much do you want? You figure out what they want. And you're like, oof, yeah, I get you want $100,000 and your house could be worth $100,000, but it's not worth $100,000 cash. And you're like, huh? And then you see, and then you're like, well, and then you ask them, you get to the point, like, do you have a loan on this property or do you not have a loan? If they do have a loan, then you go here. Well, the thing is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you know, your property would probably rent for, I don't know, let's say $900, something like that. I don't know the exact numbers. Maybe it's 1,000, whatever. The point is, no investor is going to be able to pay that much for your house and get that much in rents. It just doesn't make sense. You're asking for a retail price or above retail price right now. And with the interest rates the way they are, your property wouldn't cash flow. And I'm an easygoing guy. As an investor, I have one rule. I just can't lose money. If I were to buy your house right now, I'd literally be losing money. And that's if the lender would lend to me. And they're going to look at that and they're not going to lend to me. So what do you want to do? And they're like, oh, I don't know. So you're like, okay, cool. Well, I have an idea. Would you take 40? And they get pissed. They get angry. 40,000. You're a jerk. You're a jerk. We say, that's where the deal needs to be at for me to buy this house right now, you know, at a 7-8% interest rate, and for it to make sense for a rental property. Unless you wanted to do something a little bit more creative, that's it. Creative? What do you mean? And then you can say, well, you see, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, correct me if I'm wrong, don't you owe like $80,000 on this property? Yeah. And didn't you get this loan in like 2021 when rates were really low? Yeah. Well, you did such a good job of getting a low interest rate. You're actually really smart. Most of these Americans out here, they're so stupid, they didn't get a low rate. You're really smart. Yeah, I am really smart. Well, you see, you have an asset. That 3.5% interest rate, that's an asset. And an investor like me would pay a premium for that asset because that would allow me to cash flow. So instead of me going and getting new debt, going through this whole process of getting new debt from a lender that only wants to pay, you know, 40 for this property, why don't I just go in and take over your debt of $85,000 because it's a lower interest rate? And then I'll give you $5,000 cash on top. Boom. That's the pitch for subject to, y'all. And then the pitch for seller financing is very similar. You do the whole thing, you know, you lowball them cash, and then you just say, well, you see, the thing is, I could pay your full price. It's just if I pay it over time. And then you get in the whole terms pitch. And then you just start walking through. It's like, hey, so I can pay you the 100,000, but I'd have to do it in payments of about $500. You become the bank, and you just go through that whole pitch. If you guys have questions on a pitch, please let me know. But it's just a pyramid. Do you have a loan? No. Subject to seller finance. You lowball them cash. You say, hey, it's impossible for me to buy your property. It does not cash flow right now. The lender would never lend it to me. Then you go into, if it's subject to, hey, I can just take over your loan. You did such a great job. You're such a smart guy. Here's some cash on top. Let's get this done. Or if it's seller finance, it's like, hey, if you want more money for the property, why don't you just become the bank? The bank's the one that makes all the money. Instead of taking 40 grand for the house, why don't I just pay you $100,000 for the house over time? You don't mention the word interest rate. You never mention any of that. All you guys do on a seller finance deal is what I actually do. It's actually a really simple little formula here. I'll show it to you. I take the purchase price. So let's say the purchase price is 100,000, or in this case, let's say the purchase price is 60,000. This is literally how I bought my 2 houses, 0% interest, and I just divide it by 360. So I'm on the phone with them, and they're like, "Oh, well, what would you pay?" I say, "You know what? I'd pay full price for the house. I'd give you $60,000. I'd give you above $60,000. Shoot, I'd pay you $65,000 for the house right now." And then you just divide it by 330, and you say in payments of $180 per month. That's it. Because if you take the price and divide it by 360, that's the exact same thing as doing 0% interest. Most of you don't know that. So if you take the purchase price divided by 360, that is the same offer as 0% interest. And if you pay 0% interest for any property at full price, it's going to be a good deal. It's going to be a good deal. So that's how I do my seller finance payments. I say, hey, you become the bank. I'll pay you $180 a month starting right now. You'll get $65,000 for the property, and you can tell your neighbors that you sold the house for $65K when they're selling their houses for $30, $40K to stupid investors. Done. All right. So day 2, day 3, day 4, you guys are making offers. 2, 3, 4, you guys are making offers. Any questions, guys, on the pitch before we actually get to underwriting the properties? Any questions on the pitch? You guys need, I don't care if you guys are pitching cash and you're like, Max, I don't care about subject to seller finance. You have to know how to pitch subject to and seller finance, even if you're doing cash offers. It's so important to be armed with that in your tool belt. I'm so happy I know how to do it because I'll turn dead deals into a seller. Like these properties, guys. The seller on this one house that I bought, trying to remember them. I don't even remember the houses I bought. Man, he was just stuck at his number. He was stuck at his stupid number and he wanted way too much. And he said yes to 0% interest and like barely any money down. And I did that twice. You need to know how to do that because you're going to turn a dead lead into, I paid one of the students in the group. Who was it? Who was his? I only remember his Discord name. It's Baked in Dallas. I think his name was Matthew. I paid him $7,000 because he just pitched seller finance on a dead lead. So, all right. What questions you guys got on the pitches? Yeah, realtors suck at answering. It's a pain in the ass. Good little tip, guys, is to just text them all and be like, hey, are you free to talk about that property in X amount of minutes? And then they usually answer. Okay. Tennessee, Memphis area. Not bad. You just have to be careful. The market went up a lot and now it's going down a lot. So I'm a little worried about that market. I prefer the East Coast or Midwest. POF, what you need to do here, this is what you do for POF. I actually have a full video on that coming out. You know what? You can just wait for the video coming out. I have a video coming out teaching you what to do when they ask you for POF. Okay, so contracts we're going to get into in a second. Contracts are actually a lot easier than you guys think, but you guys understand the pitch? Cool. Let's get into underwriting these deals. So to underwrite a subject to or seller finance deal, I think most of you guys are terrible at it, and that's okay because it's very, very hard. And that's what I'm here to teach you. Because I get sent subject to and seller finance deals all the time, and they are trash. So let's go through this right now because this I think is the hardest part. Pitching, it's actually pretty easy. Finding the leads is not bad. Let's talk actually about how to underwrite them. So does anyone have a deal, or you just want to walk through an imaginary deal? Anyone got a creative finance deal they want me to underwrite, or you guys want to run through an imaginary deal? We could run through this property if you guys want. So these are the creative finance calculators in Assigns.com. Assigns.com is coming out August 4th, but you guys could, I guess use your own calculator. I don't know. Just try to keep up. This makes it a lot easier. So what we're going to do here, y'all, is we're going to first need to find the as-is value. Whether you're doing a subject to deal or seller finance deal, ARV does not matter. So the first thing I want to explain to you is the after repair value does not matter. ARV does not matter. It's all based off of as-is value because we do not buy. Okay, if you find a subject to deal or a seller finance deal that needs rehab, it needs work, it needs rehab, like a lot of rehab, like major to full gut, major to gut, guess what? It's a bad deal. I promise you, in everything that I know, it's a bad deal. You do not sell fix and flips with creative finance. You only sell turnkey or near turnkey properties. Make sense? So if any of you guys are like, I found a great seller finance deal, but it needs 40K of work. It's not a good seller finance deal. It's a good cash deal, and you offer too much. Max, how do you know? I just know. Just trust me. Just trust Max here, guys. I'm telling you, just trust Max here. So we're going to try to find the as is value of this property. And we'll say this property is turnkey. All right, cool. So I'm just going to have AI go and find me the as is value. You guys can try to find it yourself by comping it. Here it's saying the as is value around 80. I mean, it is listed on market for 100. So it just said, hey, Max, the fair value is actually closer to 80. Yeah, that's probably right. Fair value of this house is probably closer to 80, and they probably want too much. What a shocker. So AI told me, oh, there you go. AI, because it adjusted here for the extra bedroom. AI told me the fair value is around 94,000. Yeah, that sounds good. So that's the as is value. Let's say that we actually pay 100,000 for this property. So we overpay for this property. Now, Section 8 rents, though, are supposedly 1,800, which is absolutely crazy. So this could make for a great Section 8 rental. We'll come back to that here in a second. This could be a good Section 8 rental, but for now, we'll just put the rents at like 1,200. If we wanted to comp the rents, we could comp the rents quickly, normally, and I can quickly see what rents are going for. I think this would be a Section 8 one, though. In this market, I probably would do Section 8. Let's see. Damn, things are renting really well here. Oh, that's a bigger house. No wonder. Or any properties for rent? This one rented for 1,900. It's probably a bigger house. Yeah, not a lot of rentals to comp from. I think 1,200 is about fair. This one, 14. Oh, that's a bigger house. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with 1,200. Down rented for 1,400. It's a little bit bigger of a house. I'll stick at my guns here on my rent numbers. So 1,200. So cool. So all we do, guys, you get the as is value and you figure out what the property would rent for. Got it? You're just writing down that information. Nice. Now repairs. Again, these things should be near turnkey. Let's just say this house, y'all, needs about, what do you think? Does this house need any work? To me, it looks turnkey. I mean, maybe it needs a few $1,000s worth of work, but that thing looks turnkey to me. So I would say it's turnkey. Maybe you want to put, I don't know, a couple $1,000 just to be safe. But if you want to say that was turnkey, I mean, go for it. I'd believe you. Cool. Next, guys, you choose your path. Is this a subject to deal or is this a seller finance deal? Let's say this is a subject to deal. I don't know what their loan balance is on this one. It says the original loan balance was 63,000. Let's just make up some numbers here because we're just doing it for the sake of this video. Let's say original loan balance was 85,000 and their current loan balance is 80,000. Interest rate, we'll say is 3%. And let's say they're behind on payments, $3,000. All right. You guys following right now or are you guys not following? So what we're going to do here is you put your original loan balance, you put the interest rate, make it more fun, and you put the loan length. What that gives you guys is your monthly payment. All right. That gives you the monthly payment. Then the current loan balance is what tells you how much you're going to sub to. And then arrears is how much you're behind, and you can pay those behind payments or not. We'll just say the seller's behind $3,000 because it makes the deal more fun. Second loans kill subject to deals. If there's a second loan, I'd say 99.99999% of the time it's a dead deal. Just a heads up. Like solar panel loans, HVAC loans, like they usually kill your guys' deals. So just know if there's a second loan, it's probably a bad deal. But if there is a second loan, feel free just to throw it in there real quickly if you guys wanted to. Up to you. Again, I'd get concerned if there was a second loan, but we can try to add one real quickly. Fun. We'll add a second loan. Then you can either take over second loans, you can pay them off. This gets a little complex. I don't really want to get into the whole second loan conversation, so we'll remove it. Just know that second loans start to get a little confusing. So right now you're saying that the seller actually has $11,000 worth of equity, which is cool. So that means that we're going to have to come out of pocket $11,000. Oof. And are we going to pay the agent any money? Yeah, we're probably going to pay the agent. I don't know. Let's say we pay the agent $3,000. Closing costs are probably going to be around $2,000. And that means our cash to seller is $20,000. That's a lot. And now our entry fee is 28,000. Oof. That's pretty brutal. That is pretty brutal because they have arrears and everything. Ugh. That gets pretty bad. So yeah, at the end of the day, guys, this will pretty much tell you if it's a good subject to deal or a bad subject to deal, and then seller finance as well. So what do we look for? We look for an interest rate under 5%. So that's good. We look for cash flow. This property, amazing cash flow, incredible. And that's why I told you guys, stick with these markets if you guys are pitching subject twos. Honestly, guys, if I was wholesaling right now, I would just stick with these markets in general. But pretty much, if you guys want to do Section 8 deals, if you guys want to find rentals, if you guys want to pitch subject twos or seller finance, these up here are my favorite markets. Midwest, East Coast, Rust Belt. These markets suck for subject to and seller finance for the most part. There are some exceptions. And the reason is because these properties cash flow so freaking well. Now, the problem is most of you guys are dying on the entry fees. So here your entry fee is just really, really high. So it's killing the deal. What do I mean by entry fee? You usually want your cash in the deal to be preferably under 10%. Here, guys, it's 28,000. It's 28%. All right. So how can we make this deal a little bit better? Well, we can go look at it. Let's just say we make the buyer pay their arrears, or we make the seller pay their arrears, so we don't pay their arrears. And we probably need to negotiate a cheaper purchase price. So purchase price, we negotiate, let's say 90,000. A lot of you guys are not negotiating well. This is already looking better to me. Current loan balance is 80, 90,000. Nice. Perfect. And then you can just, negotiate some costs here and there. Boom. Like this deal already significantly better. This is something that you could probably sell all day long. So just to summarize, guys, what you're looking for in these deals is an interest rate under 5%. You're looking for a cash on cash return. 5% at least. You would love to get 10% plus on the cash on cash return. That's your profit versus how much you put into the deal. Then entry fee, you usually want to be under 10% on the entry fee. Then, there's some more rules. What are my other rules? You don't want a balloon. Balloons suck. We hate balloons, so 0 balloon. And then I have one more rule. What's my last rule? Oh, then the instant equity. We like to have some equity on the deals, but this isn't mandatory. So I'd say not mandatory. So if you can get this, if you guys can just focus on no balloons, getting at least less than a 10% entry fee, a 10% cash on cash return, and less than a 5% interest rate. If you guys can just focus on this one, this one, this one, and this one, you guys will have a good deal. That's a sellable deal all day long. That's sellable. And that works for subject to or seller finance. I know some of this might be confusing, but don't worry. You get the hang of it. Now, if this was a seller finance deal, we could run the numbers on that. What questions you guys got, though, on comping these deals real quick before we get into the contracts? So yeah, if you had a solid deal in Alabama with like a 30% cock, what I would make sure is that the entry fee is not too high. So let's say it's probably like an $80,000 ship box in Bama. Just make sure that you're not going, let's say, more than $10,000 into the deal. Because you guys got to think about it. If you have an $80,000 ship box, okay, $80,000 ship box, and you already agreed to give the seller $10K cash, all right, and you agreed to give the, you pay for the closing costs, so that's, let's say, $2,500. And you guys want, a $5,000 assignment fee. Now you're at $17,500 entry fee, which $17,500 divided by 80,000 is probably over 20%. So that's how you guys will just blow up your deals real quick. Yeah, it's 22%. So that's just the biggest mistake I think wholesalers make on creative deals is the entry fee is too high. Y'all are going too high with these entry fees. I think you guys are actually locating great deals. You guys are negotiating pretty good terms, except for the entry fee. So anyways, man, your deal is probably great. maybe that entry fee is too high. It sold for $515K, 10% down, 0% interest. There you go. Perfect. Yeah, that's solid. A little bit too high on the price range for my liking. I'd try to stay with the cheaper houses, but there you go. I mean, obviously worked. 0% interest and 10% down are amazing terms. So we can talk about seller finance real quick here. How I do my seller finance deals, guys, is I calculate them based off of something called a MAMO. So let's run back through a new deal here. This house in Birmingham. So let's say I wanted to underwrite this property in Birmingham. Purchase price, let's say that the seller wants some ridiculous amount. Let's say he wants $70,000 and the house is worth $60,000. As is value, $60,000. Again, we can comp that ourselves, or we can just use AI to comp the property for us. Section 8 rents are freaking, I need to start doing Section 8 rentals. That's crazy. $1,400 for this Section 8 is disgusting. My Lord. These comps are a bit odd. This looks like a good comp. Anyways, sorry. I love using AI to comp properties. That looks like a solid comp. Anyways, so same thing here, y'all. You're just putting in the repairs. Okay, so now if you're doing seller financing, what I like to do is figure out what my MAMO is, or my monthly allowable, what was it? No, maximum allowable monthly offer. So what does that mean? That means that if I can actually get $1,440 in rent, and then I subtract my expenses like my taxes, my insurance, that means that the most I can pay monthly to the seller and still break even is $1,236 a month. So I need to make sure that my seller financing terms come out to less than $1,236 a month. So then when I go to set up my terms, again, a really, really good place, guys, is like he did, 10% down and 0% interest. But let's say we give the seller $5,000 down, and then we give them 0% interest. That means on this deal, I would cash flow $1,000. I mean, absolutely disgusting. This deal you could probably assign for $5,000 or $7,000 all day long. I actually am interested to see what the assigns estimates the assignment fee at. I mean, this is money. This one would be money if you guys could get this deal. Assignment fee says low just because it's a shit house, but between you and me, I think a guy would pay $5K for this thing. It's just because it's such a cheap house. It's hard to estimate an assignment fee on. Oh yeah, the instant equity is pretty bad, but that's fine. Yeah, I like that deal. How do I start? How do you figure out your fee for the creative finance deal? Honestly, this thing's usually pretty accurate. It's a little bit tough when you're on these super cheap houses, just because this kills the deals. But this has been very, very accurate for me. So this is actually a super complex formula that I don't even feel like getting into with you guys, but this has been really good. These creative deals are going to pay a lot smaller assignment fees. Your average assignment fee on these creative deals is probably going to be around $5 to $7K. But if you're going after these houses that cost $60K, like, don't expect to make a lot on these deals. Assignment fees are going to be low. So yeah, what's really cool is there is an assignment fee estimator built into there. It's really nice. I'll put up a random deal and we'll show you what the assignment fee estimator would be. Let's find the deal real quick. All right, cool. Now let's talk contracts, guys, before I head out. But I mean, I'm open to questions. If you guys got questions, I mean, please let me know. So here, I'm going to put in a random property. All right, so I'll put in a random property. We'll say the as-is value on this thing is 200,000, whatever. Purchase price, 200,000. We're just going to run through this real quick. Okay, anyways, blah, blah, blah. We'll say it needs $5,000 worth of work. We'll say this is a subject to deal. It already put all the information here. God, that would be a terrible subject to deal with the 6% interest rate. So let's make it a little bit of a better deal. Original current loan balance. We'll say this is, I need to fix this whole thing. Hold on. Boom, 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 boom. So it would say my assignment fee on this one would be $4,000, just because its entry fee is really, really high. But if you were able to fix the deal and get this thing down to where the entry fee is lower on this thing. Hold on. I made a mistake. My bad. I killed the cash flow. My bad. I'm clicking the wrong button. Monthly payment. What did I mess up? Oh, loan length 30. My bad. Click the wrong button. You can see how, there you go. Like a sign fee, $6,500, I think, all day long. So anyways, hard to say typically as what your assignment fees would be, but just know that usually on your average creative finance deal, 5 to 7K is very, very average. If you're going after these cheap houses, I'd say maybe half of that. So if you always want a rule of thumb for your assignment fees, I would say average deal 5K, a good deal 7K, an extremely amazing deal 10K, and then on the cheaper houses, your basic deal, I'd say 3K. So cheap house, I'd say average. I'd say a good deal. And here I'd say a great deal. There you go. Those are your assignment fees. All right, let's talk contracts real quick, guys, before I'm going to jump off into the after hours live stream. Hi, Kitty. All right, cool. So contracts. A lot of you guys stress about contracts on creative finance deals. They're actually nothing to stress about. So here's the biggest mistake. So we're on day number 6, guys. We've underwrite our deals. Now we're sending the contract. The biggest mistakes that wholesalers make is they overcomplicate the contracts on creative finance deals. I'm not an attorney. This isn't legal advice. I use a basic ass contract. And then what I do is I put creative finance language in there. Because how does a creative finance transaction happen? You find a deal. Okay. You get it under contract. The seller agrees to your terms. You send it to the title company, and then you find a buyer. The buyer is going to come in with all new contracts. He's essentially just going to delete all of your contracts and come in with all new contracts. Whether it's seller financing contracts, subject to contracts, the buyer is going to come in and redo everything anyways. So you, unless you're buying the house, if you're just wholesaling the house, you're assigning your rights, you don't need a complicated contract. I wish I would have known that when I started wholesaling creative finance. I thought I had to pay a guy, $15,000 for his creative finance contracts. In my opinion, not legal advice, you don't. You freaking don't, because you're not closing on the house. My subject to contract that I use to actually buy a house is like 52 pages long, and half of that shit's in Spanish. Like, it's crazy. But you don't need that if you're not buying the house. If you're just assigning your rights, you just get a basic ass contract, not financial, legal advice, whatever. Don't sue me, bro, in my opinion. And that's it. Entertainment and education purposes only. I don't know. I don't want to get sued. Basic ass contract, and we just update the terms. So how would I update the terms? Purchase price. The total purchase price shall be blah, blah, blah. Don't put payable in cash. So let's just redo a basic ass contract for, let's say, a subject to and seller finance deal. I'm making a copy of this real quick. Payable. There you go. So total purchase price shall be, let's just say we're buying a property and $100,000 subject to deal. There you go. Just remove the payable in cash. Done. And then you would just add a new section. I don't know, a new section 3. So in this case, it'd be 2.5, but it should be 3, where you would go through. Here you'd say subject to terms. Okay. And then here you list out the subject to terms. Have AI write this. I don't know. Don't sue me. So here you would write property is being purchased subject to the underlying mortgage. And you can write here, buyer to take over. I don't know. Let's say it's $90,000 mortgage, and then put the terms here at 3% interest, 30-year loan. So put all the terms there. And then you say buyer to pay seller $10,000 cash at close. Call me stupid. This isn't legal advice. Don't whatever. This is what I would do. That's it. I mean, maybe make it a little bit better, throw it through AI. But the point is, that's it. That's it. Because this is all this is doing is pretty much putting a little reservation on your deal. You're not going to close with this. You're not closing with this. This is just, it's almost like an LOI, but it's like a binding LOI. Does this all make sense? Now, when we're doing subject to deals, what's even more important than the contract or seller finance deals is record your conversations with the seller. Okay, record your conversations and make sure to be as transparent as possible with what's going on. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I am taking over your loan. The debt is staying in your name. Okay, this may affect your DTI. Go through all of that. Make sure that you should even send them over a packet, a disclaimer, a waiver. Record those conversations. Trust me, be very, very careful with subject to deals. A lot of people lie and say, look, a cash offer. It's not like a cash offer. All right. And then I'd literally have them initial here. But, I'd put, and if you guys want to protect yourself, maybe put in your contract, like there is a risk of the due on sale clause. This could affect your debt to income. Like the disclosures, in my opinion, are more important than the contract itself. The contract itself, dude, that's it. Or you can do the same thing for seller finance. Seller finance terms. Guys, the seller finance deal that I locked up, the house I bought, I literally just wrote it on a 2-pager and I just did this. And I said, property is being purchased, seller finance. And I said, and I just wrote the terms here. And here I wrote terms, done, bought the house. That was it. I ended up going with all new contracts anyways. But when I locked up the deal, this is all I did. I just sent this shit. Again, the disclaimers and the disclosures are more important than the contracts. Now, if it's a realtor, they're going to take this and laugh at you. So maybe strengthen this if it's a realtor or put it on a state-approved contract. So what I do is if I'm working with a realtor, I use the Texas state-approved contract. And in Section 11, do I have Section 11 on here? Hold on. All state-approved contracts should have a section where you guys can write whatever you want. Hold on. Let me see if I have where's Section 11 on this stupid thing? Section 11. Right here, special provisions. So in Texas, that's called Section 11, but in whatever state you are, you might want to just use a state-approved contract. And who taught me how to do this? A freaking attorney taught me how to do this. So if an attorney taught me how to do it, I think you can too. Use your state-approved contract, all right? And in Section 11 right there, I write on a subject to deal, I write, this is a subject to transaction and buyer is taking over the seller's loan. On a seller finance deal, I just write, this is a seller finance deal. Actually, one last thing I'll mention, in many states, there is a seller finance contract. So in Texas, there's an actual state-approved seller financing addendum. So you redo the normal contract and you attach this addendum. So just learn your state's laws because you can probably just use your normal state contract and either attach an addendum or just put in the special provisions that this is a subject to deal. Done. I know that was a lot. That was boring. But yeah, you don't, guys, if you're wholesaling, you don't need some $10,000 or $15,000 contract. You just need something, most likely a state-approved contract or a 2-pager, change the wording. That's enough to wholesale the deal. It's all about disclosures, though. Disclosure. Cool. So no money needed for down payment. If no seller disclosure off market, how do we do due diligence? I did not understand that. You should always put a option fee or an earnest money deposit, but you don't need to deposit that money for a few days. So you don't actually need to put the money down. So here, man, so inspection period, let's say you put like a 7-day inspection period and then earnest money. Let's say you put $1,000. You don't need to deposit that earnest money until a certain time frame. I deposit it after the inspection period. So if I decide to back out, I'm not at risk for that money. All right, guys, last step, because then we got to go to the after hours live stream. How do we sell these deals? A lot of different ways. Well, the thing is, if you guys did step day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and day 6 correctly, you should be able to sell the freaking deal. Should be a good deal. If you guys can't sell the deal, it's because you messed up one of those steps. You either found a bad lead, you didn't negotiate properly, you didn't underwrite the deal properly, somehow you buggered the contract. But if you guys did all those steps correctly, you should be able to sell the deal. Boom. That's it. How would I sell the deal? You guys feel free to send it over to me. I'm not your best bet for creative finance. I'll tell you right now. If it's a good deal, I might buy it myself. So if you'll be like, yo, Max, would you buy this deal yourself? I'd be like, yeah. If it's a meh deal, you guys can send it to me. Send it to your boy, Richard Taylor. Try to sell it yourself. But one thing you guys might want to try is to create a prop packet. If you guys have a signs.com, this is really, really cool. You guys can just save your deal right here. Then you can go over to, let's say, my treasure chest. I'm going to go here. I'll make a prop packet real quick. And just like, hold on. I don't know if I made the deal correctly. Anyways, we'll just make one of these. Oh, you know what? There you go. Cool. So just like this, y'all, I created a packet for my deal, and it has all the subject to information, or let's say seller finance information on the deal, the rate, the cash flow, everything. Super easy. And then what you do, guys, is once you make one of these packets, this is how I actually sell a lot of my wholesale deals. I just go, you mark it as available, and then you're going to go and send this to buyers. Where do you find buyers? The best places to find buyers for creative finance deals, guys, are Facebook. So what I would personally do if you guys had a creative finance deal is I would get this link that you just made, and I would go and send that link to a bunch of buyers on Facebook groups. Go to like Pace Morby's group, go to other groups, guys, if it's a good deal out in like the Midwest, East Coast, and it cash flows, if this is your numbers, it should sell. Just go send this to a buyer. Dude, they're going to see this. They're going to be like, wow, this is super professional. I like this. Done. They should buy them. So there you go. All right, cool, guys. I'm going to jump into the after hours sesh. Let me know if you guys need anything. I messed up the hours on this thing. Hold on. Classroom, calendar. How did I mess that up? Oh my Lord. What did I do? What did I do? My bad. Anyways, we're going to go here. All right, cool. I'm going to jump into the school group. I'll see you guys on the next live stream. I'll be live here on Thursday, okay? Jump into school, guys, if you guys want me to help you with your wholesale business. I had one guy today who was trying to Google Voice code violations. And I was like, we ain't doing that. We're not Google Voicing code violations. So instead, he lives out in the middle of nowhere. No, he lives out in Mississippi. And he's going to be door knocking pre-foreclosures and tax auctions. So if you guys are struggling with your wholesale, talk to me, because it's probably just one small little mistake you guys are making, or it's a mindset issue, and I can correct that and we can get you guys going. So here's the link, guys, if you want to join the after hours. Let's get going. And let me put... I don't know. I don't even know how to put that up. Whatever. All right, cool. Cool. I'll shut down the YouTube live stream here in a second, guys, but I'll let you guys ask any questions. So let me get recording here. Yo, what's up, guys? After hours. How's it going? So, anyone need help, guys? So what we just learned today is I did a little creative financing lesson. I felt like we all needed a refresher on creative financing. So if you guys find deals, subject to deals, seller finance deals, feel free to watch that above live stream right there. I took you through a 7-day game plan for creative finance. Don't recommend creative finance to be your main strategy. If you guys want to do it, do it. However, I really recommend it as a backup strategy. You guys should know creative finance. And if you guys want to buy your first house too, want to buy your first primary residence, rental property, you guys should know about subject to and seller finance. So full live stream up there. If you guys have time, go watch that. Now, do you guys have any questions on creative finance as a whole? Real quick, before I get into you guys helping with your wholesale businesses. Right, Kitty? Oh, I know, Kitty Cat. You guys good? No questions on creative before we jump into the wholesale side of things? What's up? Cool. Nice. Okay. Well, if you guys have questions, you guys can ask me later. All right. Wholesale questions. What's going on, guys? Who needs help with their wholesale business? Who needs help? We're going to shut down the YouTube live stream here in a second, guys. Rob, are we working on pushing back the auction on that one pre-foreclosure you locked up?
So they successfully pushed it back.
Okay.
They got a conflicting document from the solar company. It says that the loan was canceled at the bottom, but at the top it has a payoff amount and a balance. So we're just trying to figure that out with title rep right now. We have a sight unseen offer
Oh,
for 99K.
oh shit.
Yeah.
What did
So
you
I
have it
told
for?
her. Sorry, say that
What
again.
do you have it for? You got it for 85, 89?
87.2.
Okay, and I still think we can price reduce the guy.
Yeah, I was talking to Nikki about that. It's gonna, if we do, we can try it. It's gonna be a work. It's gonna be a process.
Oh,
Yeah, I think we can do it though.
He's
He's just gonna cuss me the hell out.
I will take full blame on it. Oh, you can be the good guy, I'll be the bad guy. This guy's going to auction. He's a hoarder, and we saved his house from foreclosure auction. I'm getting a price reduction.
Yeah. No, I guarantee you. Part of me wishes that like one of you guys could call and do the price reduction because I don't feel like I'm seasoned enough to close it or try to do it. But
I can hit. We'll get there when we get there. Let's worry about getting this thing done. But that's great news. Sight unseen, full offer.
Good news, man.
No, you did great on that, man. I hope the title issues don't ruin your deal, but it's out of your hands now, man. So you did the whole process, Rob. I'm so proud of you. You want to tell everyone how you got the deal?
Yeah, so it was a cold call. And then when the first phone call after, he was kind of weary about me. So I told him I could come meet him in person. We talked. And that day, actually, Max posted the video about finding your bunnies and like trying to like find something to help with instead of like focusing on the actual numbers in the deal. And his whole thing was just like Max said, he was a hoarder, so he needed to kind of help setting up the moving and organizing. So I just called and like set up moving and organizing through college hunks to try to help him out, take some pressure off his shoulders. And then after that, he felt like basically compelled with me to sign the deal.
There you go, guys. It's all about finding the bunnies. It's never about the property. It's never even about the price. It's always about these people, especially these people who are in pre-foreclosure, but really any of these sellers, they have so much stress and weight on them, and their house is not an asset. It's a liability. It's causing them a lot of just mental pain. And it's your job to go in there, be the psychologist, and figure out what you can do to relieve that pain outside of the price. And in this case, he was a hoarder and he was super stressed about the move. Have you guys ever been in a situation where you just can't think clearly, or you know someone who's just not thinking clearly because there's some little thing that's just blocking them from thinking clearly? In this case, this guy could not think clearly because of the move. It was freaking him out. Once you solve that, then he was like, okay, cool, let's sell my house. Because he was just going to let it go to auction, right, Rob?
He was just super depressed and wanted to let it go to auction, and everybody's stuff from his family members they were using his house as storage. He's like, just let him take everybody's stuff. I don't care. But then we figured out a way to get everybody's stuff out of there for him.
Okay, well, perfect. So, but yeah, guys, I'm really proud of Rob. He went through the whole process perfectly. And Rob's brand new to wholesaling. Went through the whole process perfectly. And now, two things I want you guys to know about. One, never count the deal as done. That's the worst mistake that new wholesalers can make, is they start to think of like, don't do this, Rob. Don't be like, okay, man, $13,000. I'm going to make $6,500. Okay, I'm going to go get this for my wife and this for my kids. Don't even think about the money, right? And don't even think about the money until the day it's in your bank account, because that's what causes wholesalers to quit the business, is they get a deal and they start thinking about the money. It's out of your hands now. It's purely title. Don't even stress about the deal. You did everything right. And now just go back and just keep finding more contracts. Okay. Because this one, it may go through, it may die. Don't even stress about it. Just go find 1, 2, 3 more, 5 more deals. You know, the process works. This should be enough proof of concept. And then just eventually it's going to end up working out. But 20% of your deals are just going to die in title, man, especially if you're doing pre-foreclosures. It's just how the game works.
Yep. I'm with you.
All right, YouTube, shutting down the live stream. Bye, YouTube. Yeah. So, man, great.